Now, celebrating the 55th anniversary of Africa, members of parliament reflected on how far South Africa and the continent has come. The National Assembly hosted a debate in which many political parties focused on a paradox: a resource-rich continent that is home to millions of poor Africans. The debate was held under the theme of 100 years of Nelson Mandela, building a better Africa, building a better world.
As Madiba would have celebrated his 100th birthday this year, political parties reflected on the mark he left on the continent. His desire for peace in Africa contrasts the situation many African nations find themselves in.
As we look at what to do today and in the next 45 years, we are determined as Africans to silence the guns on the continent, eradicate poverty in one generation, eradicate hunger, fragility and disease, transform our economies, create jobs, build shared prosperity, preserve our environment and deal with the challenges of climate change, and to foster tolerance, inclusive, just, non-sexist and democratic societies.
Some parties placed an emphasis on human rights abuses on the continent and the need to better police it.
The African Union member states must respect international institutions like the International Criminal Court by remaining members of the Rome Statute to ensure justice for human rights atrocities. The African Court of Justice and the African Human Rights Commission needs to be strengthened and made independent in order to fulfill their mandates free from political pressure.
Africa is plagued by wars, terrorist attacks, corruption, greed, fraud and poor governance, and violation of basic human rights, and leaders who cling tenacious to power for far too long. Africa is rich in many things, yet has not come together to condemn human trafficking, murder and raping of women, killing of children and all forms of genocide.
Other parties brought the message closer to home.
We have sadly soiled the legacy of Madiba and lost our international credibility, continentally and internationally. Incidents such as the Marikana massacre and the horror and torture of Esidimeni, incidents of gross xenophobia and the denial thereof, have fouled our human rights standing and our standing in Africa.
South Africa, however, as was indicated during the presidential debate, seems to be becoming more deeply polarized along race and class divides, fueled by popular rhetoric against a background of gross inequality, poverty and inequality. The question we need to ask ourselves as responsible leaders in Africa is, to quote a well-known band, a hip-hop band, the Black Eyed Peas, where is the love?
The IFP and PAC reflected on the ghosts of colonialism and the impact it still has today.
Honorable Minister Dlamini Zuma correctly pointed out that children in schools and so on are being taught to hate Africa and so on and so forth. But I put it to the minister, and actually in agreeing with her, that those that hate us are not those who are not us, but we hate ourselves.
Chairperson, Africa is losing its direction, and with the political direction we are taking, we won't be able to liberate Africa from foreign rule.
While the Freedom Front Plus wanted to set the record straight.
We all know that the Democratic Alliance is associated with the colour blue, the EFF with the colour red. My party, the Freedom Front Plus, we've chosen the colour green. And why did we do that? Go and have a look at those flags and you'll find the colour green in 44 of the 54 flags of African countries. Green symbolizes to us Africa. And we see ourselves as descendants who came from Europe more than 360 years ago, who has made Africa our fatherland and our home. We are part and parcel of Africa.
Speakers quoted Madiba speaking about his love for the continent and South Africa's role to be played in uniting Africa. Many spoke of the massive potential Africa holds today and gave their insights on how best to tap into that potential to make Africa one of the most prosperous continents for all its people. Abra Barbia, SABC News, Parliament.